The Warriors, who are the defending champs, are up 3-2 now. They finally got a road win. They're going to have to get a road win in this series to win because they don't have home court. Well, they do now. Jay, to start these playoffs,
Max,
there were two teams in the West I thought had better chances than anyone else. It was the Suns and the Warriors. You may have slept on the Warriors. That was not me. But go ahead. Now, say, when did I say it? No, you didn't. All that nonsense. The two of you, Heckle and Jekyll over here. Go ahead.
Oh, God.
What did I tell you what happened Game 3? And you tried to push back on my narrative.
You said that it was must win for the Kings.
For the Kings.
Or else they would lose momentum.
And why did I say that?
Because if they didn't take advantage of the opportunity, given that Draymond was not going to play, that would give the Warriors momentum, and the Warriors have taken it since then. That was the correct analysis at the time.
And by the way, it still is the correct analysis at this time as well. Steve Kerr decided, look, at that moment, can't play Dre. Now we're going to go with one guy who's a non-shooter, Kevon Looney, who had 20 rebounds again last night, by the way.
He's been so good.
20 rebounds again last night, 22 to be exact. He decided to stop playing those two together as much so they can be scorers. There could be more scorers. And then the next game, bringing Draymond off the bench, they have 4 players last night score 20 points. Key, when I was going to tell you, Alan Yates and I talk hoops all the time via text messages. And there are certain teams that when I watch them play, I get this euphoric-like feeling because I'm like, I would do anything to play in that system. And there's a flow state. We know how we hear athletes talk about that flow state. The flow state of Golden State's offense is so next level. And nobody can stop Steph because it's perpetual movement all the time. He's probably the most difficult guard in the league because of the continuity that they put him around. And Klay was making shots off the dribble last night. He was a shot creator.
He's always been capable of doing that. It's just when you pick your poison against the Warriors, you would take that. If you can get Klay to put the ball on the floor, at least you have a shot.
You got him. Draymond Green made threes last night. He was making plays. That was a masterclass on the defensive and offensive end. And Andrew Wiggins is giving you defensive possessions. Jordan Poole's knocking down shots. He gave you 6 assists, 0 turnovers. What have we been talking about him, saying he's been loose with the ball? And the reason why Golden State's been in a situation because they've been turning the ball over. You just feel this team coming into their own. Andrew Wiggins not playing basketball for 2 months. Now he's starting to find his rhythm. It's time to start talking about this team as real contenders, Key.
Well,
real contenders.
I think it's been time.
Yeah.
I
don't think it's been time because there's been a lot of question marks.
No, it was question marks based on the record on the road, Jay.
Yeah.
And the fact that Wiggins was missing a little bit of time for his personal issues he was dealing with his family or whomever. And at the end of the day, he's back in the fold. But also, when you mention a guy like Klay, you say off the dribble, Klay's healthier now. You got to remember, he was, 2 years removed from major injuries? That's what it takes when you are injured like him. So now he looks like a different player. Obviously, Steph is Steph. And when you look at Draymond settled down now, right? He's not the guy that we saw the first couple games. For whatever reason, I think that little bit of a suspension has calmed him down to some degree. Realize that he could potentially cost his team and himself another championship. He's settled down, giving you 21 points last night. Okay, he gave you 21. He had 7 assists. That's big-time point guard stat sheet right there. And then in terms of Steph Curry, I mean, it's really, what you going to say? There's nothing really to say.
Let's go down that list, Key. I think you bring up a great point about Draymond that settled him down. I thought the series was over when he got the suspension. That's why I remember I was livid about that suspension. I thought it was unwarranted. And I thought that this could cost them. They need to defend. I still thought if Draymond plays, they can win this series. I picked them to win going in. But obviously Sacramento very live. But once Draymond was suspended, I was livid because I thought, wait a minute. They just won the championship. The fact that they were losing on the road, Key, to me was no big deal because really what it meant all season was they have a veteran team. They were older, hurt, coming off injury. They were saving their best stuff for home. They had to kind of self-load manage on the road. And once the playoffs start with rest in between games and the importance of road games, I was confident they could win some road games.
But people don't look at it that way, though, Max, right?
Yeah.
They look at the fact that they're losing on the road, so that means they're losers.
Right.
They're gonna lose because they're not gonna have home court advantage. They got to go on the road to Sacramento. They dropped 2 in Sacramento on the road, so that first thing people say, "Oh God, here we go." Then they get the 1 last night, so now it looks different. Like Jay said, they get back home. It was important for them to win that game without Draymond, because if they didn't win it without Draymond, now we'd be looking at something totally different. That momentum completely shifted.
And Max, look at their last 2 years, like their opponents, Memphis, a younger team that there was history there, because remember, Memphis knocked Steph out of the play-in tournament a couple years before that, right? That's when they started to arrive.
When Steph was the only guy on the team
I was
at that
about to
point.
say Steph was a long ranger.
No. I wasn't saying that he wasn't alone.
But they were coming.
The fact that
they were on their
coming
way,
and that Steph and those guys remember that. But look, Golden State was down 2-1 to the Celtics last year, right? They are battle tested.
Yeah.
No
When
doubt.
you have gone through wars, when you have gone through battles, you can sit there and say, okay, I know that this is a game of inches, and how we have to execute those details within those inches will determine whether we win series or not. And the last 2 teams they played against, Boston not really being battle experienced in NBA Finals scenarios. They have been in the playoffs. Memphis, still young, early last season, right? They won that series. And now you're watching it with Sacramento, where you're saying Sacramento's you're looking at the mirror of a younger Golden State Warrior team.
But for some reason, I'm not okay with Ja. And I mean,
you know what it is, Key?
Obviously, he's a fabulous player with a lot of talent and eventually may get a championship. And I love him as a basketball player. But for some reason, he just bothers me.
Yeah.
You know what? The 2 players there, Key, like one player is elite athletic, in which allows him to defy all odds, right? Seeing guys his size catch lobs over LeBron James, bang on people. You're like, man, it's different, right? Now, the skill set is next level, but the skill set isn't close to Steph's skill set, who lacks the elite athletic. His athleticism is different. It's more in hand-eye coordination from the shooting perspective, from the ultimate skill. They're just different.
I want to get to Steph,
maybe
guys.
If it's Memphis too, because if Golden State beat the Lakers,
Because he's playing the Lakers. That's what it is.
Maybe
that's all.
what
And
it
it's
is.
not complicated. I want to get to Steph. Steph Curry, you could say, well, I was hating on him, whatever. No, man. In 2016, I thought they were going to crush everybody. Steph Curry was the unanimous MVP, everything. But LeBron was easily the best player in the final. LeBron was the best player in the world, right? Like, Steph did not end the season, the whole season. And you said, that's the best player on earth. That never happened until last year. For the first time, because he's 6'3", it's hard for a guy that height. And the sport is for tall people, right?
Jay.
For the first time at the end of everything last season, I thought, Steph might really be the best basketball player in the world, period. And he might do it again this year, Jay, because that title is open, right? KD can't stay on the court, and now they're going to have to do some superhuman minute stuff for Phoenix to win, it looks like. Jokic is incredible, but let's see him actually do it. Embiid looks like he's scuffling in terms of health a little bit right now. Do you really believe in the Sixers? The Celtics look vulnerable. The Bucks are out. Jimmy Butler has an undermanned team, even though he's doing incredible things. If the Warriors go back-to-back now again, and Steph is once again the best player in the finals, to me, that cements it. That dude's the best player in the NBA. Where are you with Steph
Devin
right
Booker
now?
on line 1 calling in.
Think he's better than Steph?
No, I'm just saying he's the way he's just played in that last series, though.
He's playing.
It's setting the table
Jay,
for an
what's the
interesting
better-
conversation.
What's the better matchup for? You know what? Don't worry about it.
No, I was going to say I still think Giannis is the best player in the game, but coming off last night with the back injury, 10 of 23 from the free throw line, and the unwillingness, on that jump ball down the stretch when it was like a hot pocket, he didn't want to be fouled.
He didn't want to go to the line. He's missing too many shots.
And like I try to tell people, like this isn't definitive. This is ongoing. It changes. Who is that person that ends up on top of the mountain that we determine, okay, this year is the best player in the game, and that could change next year. Giannis can get the title right back, but like that willingness to say, I don't want it makes you look at it slightly differently right now, and it leaves a door for a guy like Steph if he's able to. And by the way, it's a matchup nightmare for the Lakers if the Lakers are able to get by. If the Lakers are having a hard time guarding Desmond Bane, you don't think they're going to have even more difficult time guarding Steph? And that's going to be a matchup nightmare for them, and that leads to them in the Western Conference Finals. Doors wide open.
This is what I mean. Again. When Jordan was at his best, when LeBron was at his best, there was no argument. Every year it was the same guy, best player in the league. But this is a more interesting era because there are lots of different candidates. But Steph has a shot to do it 2 years in a row. When you talk about eras, Jay, that means once you do it 2 years in a row, now all of a sudden gets to be a new thing. I don't think it's always been this way for him, but he's a big-time clutch killer nowadays.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.